Unstable, unpredictable, undependable. These best describe the state of power supply in current times. Blackouts in entire neighborhoods in an instant without prior notice or a public load-shedding guide. Electricity is clearly a crucial component in our daily activities. But for some, it is their very lifeline.
Honestly, it's frustrating.
Esinam, a 47-year-old diabetic, has been battling the disease for 19 years. The disease that has significantly impacted her quality of life is being exacerbated by frequent unscheduled power cuts. Dumsor, as it is popularly known, is now posing a significant health threat to her.
Those who are on the tablet, it's okay for them. But for me that I'm on insulin, I fear a lot. Sometimes it goes off from morning till the following day, and the fridge is not working, and the insulin will denature.
Esinam, like many other diabetes patients, requires a daily dose of insulin. Its absence poses a significant risk to her health due to the inability to regulate her blood sugar levels. The insulin storage is currently unavailable due to power cuts.
Sometimes I have to put the ice blocks in it. This is the insulin. This is the Mr. type. The nature of the weather is hot, so it can melt anytime and it denatures. So these are some of the challenges I go through a lot.
The heavy cost of this has made it difficult for her to cope without a stable job.
The insulin is now almost 200 Ghana cedis. Roughly by 1 month, it should be finished. If this light off, Dumsor, whatever is going on, it can't keep it for that 1 month. You have to be buying all the time.
Esinam is only one among several other diabetics who are experiencing similar challenges. Dumsor has emerged as a significant threat to the entire health sector. Health facilities heavily rely on electricity for lighting, medicine refrigeration, and life-saving equipment preservation, often running on generators at a significant cost.
The problem is that most hospitals are underfunded. They can't even buy the generator, not to talk about the fuel. You see, you hear about NHIS, 9 months arrears. Where is the money?
The death of a baby allegedly due to power cuts at Tema General Hospital has sparked calls for health facilities to be exempted from these intermittent power outages. President's representative at the Health Ministry, Bernard Okuboy, defended the health sector's issues during a visit to Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, urging public discussion without sentiments.
The video that came from Tema General, the machines you were seeing, they were running on the backup power supply. So the machines didn't go off. Someone who doesn't understand hospital care will say that once machines went off, every death you see is attributable to the power plant. We should not get sensational.
His plea to the public may be challenging to implement due to the distress Dumsor is causing. But the question remains, when will Dumsor truly end? Judith Brown, TV3 News.
And now here is President Akufo-Addo speaking at the May Day celebration in Accra, where he said Dumsor will be a thing of the past. Take a listen.
Over the past few days, we have witnessed stable electricity supply across the country, with no load shedding reported anywhere yesterday. For the past 7 years, we have worked tirelessly to keep the lights on, and I am confident that the unfortunate era of Dumsor will not return.
Meanwhile, energy analyst Ben Boache says the president may have been briefed wrongly about the unfortunate energy situation in the country.
I think perhaps the option for him was to have stayed away from that conversation if he was not willing to bite the bullet and tell us what is really wrong with the power sector. And it actually, repeats or re-emphasizes some of the communication we had from government and some of the officers in ECG and the ministry over time. And it clearly shows that they didn't want to feed the president with the right information. And beyond that also, I mean, there are people at the presidency who live with us. They see the light go off and may have been privy to what the president was going to talk about and could have highlighted that the Ghanaians will not be pleased with that kind of posturing. But, unfortunately, it was delivered the way it was. The situation of the energy sector or the power sector as we have it now, it's as simple as getting enough fuel to be able to generate what we need. And that costs a lot of money.
Well, if you're just tuning in, you're watching the first news bulletin of the day on TV3 right here on New Day. In more news this morning, former president and flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, says his next administration will reopen investigations into the corruption and money laundering case involving the former sanitation minister, Cecilia Dapaah. His comments follow the Attorney General's advice to EOCO not to initiate a money laundering probe against the former sanitation minister. Here's a report from my colleague, Komla Kluche.
The Office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice had advised the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, against initiating money laundering investigations into the dealings of former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapaah. Upon a request for advice by EOCO on the matter, the AG's office, in a letter copied to EOCO, said it found that the OSP did not submit a report on its collaborative investigation with the FBI to EOCO. Additionally, the office noted the OSP has not responded to EOCO's request for its findings. The Attorney General also advised against EOCO investigating the source of Cecilia Dapaah's funds on the basis that the CID had been tasked to take charge of that aspect of the case. OSP's office had made the request to EOCO after determining that the case involving the over $1 million found in the former minister's house, among other issues, did not fall under its mandate, although it suspected possible money laundering. John Mahama, in July 2023, expressed his dismay, stating $1 million plus 300,000 euros, including millions in a Ghanaian minister's home, scandalous. He questioned the decision to keep such substantial sums of money at home, even if they were acquired legitimately, and called into question whether the president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, would set a positive example for other public office holders in his administration.
I do think that if we do not establish fairness in our system in fighting corruption, it will overwhelm this country.
John Mahama is expressing outrage at the government's commitment to the investigations. Making a post on X, the former head of state says, "My government will reopen investigations into alleged acts of corruption and graft in the Cecilia Dapaah case."
For those who are indulged in petty corruption at the lower levels, they cite the big corruption at the top for the motivation for them also to get their fair share. And so if we must fight corruption, it must start from the top to the bottom.
Expectations of anti-graft agencies, especially CSOs, have been to see a conclusive report on the matter that is still lingering, despite the position taken by the president, subtly believed to have cleared his former appointee. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Accra.
And now the Supreme Court has ruled that the first and second ladies are independent family members who can choose to be of service to the nation. This is contained in the Apex Court's full opinion in the case which declared payments to the spouses of the first and second ladies unconstitutional. And the decision, authored by the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo, says Article 71 office holders must be limited to named officers in the Constitution.
The Apex Court on April 24 declared the payments to the first and second ladies unconstitutional. The court, in its recent judgment, justifies its conclusion. The opinion, authored by the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo, first notes that a person cannot take legal action against the Emolument Committee which made the recommendation. She explains such a body performs an advisory role and its recommendations are not legally binding. It, however, noted that Parliament's approval for salaries to be paid was inconsistent with the Constitution. The Chief Justice added that the First and Second Ladies are independent family members who can choose to be of service to the nation or choose not to be. Marriage, she stated, is a legal status and does not compel community. The court noted it was high time for the nation to have a discussion on whether the practice of benchmarking benefits of other public officers with Article 71 office holders is in the right direction. Former Attorney General Betty Mo Idrisu meanwhile says it is time for spouses of the President and Vice President to be legally compensated.
There should be some enablement of it because, my God, the work that First Ladies and Second Ladies do is phenomenal, you know, and there's so much demands made on them. And sometimes it gets them into, you know, fixes because they don't have those resources and they think because your husband is president, you must have those resources. Hence all the foundations that have been set up by various First and Second Ladies, you know, going out looking for donor funds and relief funds and so on. So I think it's something that we should look at.
Away from that, looted Asante royal artifacts are finally on display for public viewing at the Menchia Museum in Kumasi, over a century after the British took them. For the Ashanti Traditional Authority, the return of the items is a restoration of the Asante spirit.
After 150 years, 39 of the Asante royal regalia and objects looted by the British during the Third Anglo-Asante War of 1874, popularly known as Sagrenti War, are back to their original place, the Menchia Palace in Kumasi. The first batch of 7 treasures from the Fowler Museum in the USA arrived in February. The remaining 32 collections from Britain, 15 from the British Museum and 17 from the Victoria and Albert Museum, have also touched base in Kumasi. The artifacts include a ceremonial cup decorated with gold ornament, the gold peace pipe, and the 30-year-old Mpomponsio state sword used by Asantenes to swear their oath of office and paramount chiefs their allegiance to the Asantene, among many other ornaments. For the first time in 150 years, Ghanaians will have the opportunity to see these items as they've been displayed at the Menchia Palace Museum for public viewing. At the homecoming of the artifact and reopening of the Menchia Museum, the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II was excited with the return of the artifact.
Everybody should please visit. The Mpomponsio sword is there, the Nchemcha is there, everything up there are all being displayed for you to see that yes, as we said, when they ransacked it, yes, it was true. Yes, they are still keeping our artifacts, but we also are happy that they've agreed to return some of these to us for display for our people to see. Sure. Thank you. Let us accept that today is a day for Ashanti. It's a day for the Black African continent, that the spirit that we bore and share is back with us again.
With most of the Asante royal regalia sitting in museums across the globe, the Menchia Palace is in talks with some of the museums to return them. Ivor Ajimandua is the chief negotiator.
We're talking to some individual art collectors and also institutions in South Africa that have some of these objects. And we're also talking with a couple of 3 leading museums and galleries in the UK. We've started negotiations, and in next 2 weeks I will be traveling to the UK for us to have the first formal negotiations with them. So it's looking very good.
How many artifacts?
We're talking between the two situations of about 100. All of 1874 and then post-1874.
The items will be on loan for an initial 3 years and renewable for another 3 years. Their return coincides with the silver jubilee of the Asantehene since its ascension on the golden stool. The Menchia Palace Museum, with an annual visitation number of around 80,000, is also expected to significantly increase in numbers with the display of the artifacts.
Well, just find time, if possible, to visit the Menchia Palace to have a feel of these returned artifacts. But on that note, we end the morning news. For more news updates, you'd want to log on to our website. It's 3news.com. I've been started by Mr. POS. You can find them on Instagram and get yourself one. Thanks for watching.